here's Brody Brazil.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. And in this video, I wanted to bring up a topic that not a lot of people are discussing right now. But it's also something that I believe is going to be really important to this process right around the corner. And it's a question. It's pretty simple. Where the heck are the A's planning to play for the seasons of 2025, 2026, and 2027? None of that to this point has really been relevant because the A's have been pursuing public funding from the state of Nevada and Clark County, and they're not really concerned with this baseball team until about 2028 and beyond, when they're planning on that brand new stadium on the Las Vegas Strip. But all of this could be a certain concern to Major League Baseball, owners across the league, and also the Major League Baseball Players Association, because they'll all have to deal with where the A's might call a temporary home for, probably 3 full seasons. So this is important. This is part of the next step of an approval process. I think to call a 3-year time period temporary is a bit of a stretch. It's not 3 weeks or 3 months. I mean, this is 240 plus regular season baseball games in total across a very extended time period. You realize there could be a player who signs a 2-year deal with the A's in 2026 and never plays a home game in Oakland or Las Vegas if neither of those two places are this temporary home city. Now, it's not even common for baseball teams to relocate. It's only happened once in the past 51 years. And it's obviously not optimal for a team to have to play in a temporary spot, like the Montreal Expos did when they became the Washington Nationals. The Nats played from 2005 to 2007 at RFK Stadium in D.C. Now, I want to point this out. I actually got to go to a Nats-A's game. I think it was in 2005. And seeing the stadium, you certainly realized it was old. In fact, it had hosted Major League Baseball decades prior, but at least it was big enough. It was accommodating enough. It was set up the right way, didn't have all the new amenities, but most importantly, it was already in the city to which the Nationals had moved to, right? So it just felt good enough in a lot of ways, as opposed to going to an intermediate stop between your old town and your new location. By the way, I'll also put this here, no Coliseum option. I would imagine that Oakland is ready to move on from the A's at the Coliseum site as soon as their lease is over at the end of 2024, if in fact relocation has already been approved and it's a done deal for Las Vegas. I think the decision of the Joint Powers Authority, in addition to what Oakland wants and Alameda County wants, is to probably move on with that site. The longer you continue to host a baseball team there, the longer it's going to take to move on to whatever is next for the future of that site, which, yes, I do realize the A's currently own half of the Coliseum land. But I'm going to assume that Oakland is not going to make, and the JPA is not going to make, the Coliseum an option after 2024, if in fact the A's are already officially on their move and on their way out. I'm also saying here that you have to consider some of these places that we'll look at in the video as just minor league cities, and that's not an offense to them. That's not knocking them down. It's not saying that it's a bad place to live or it would be a bad stop for the A's. It's just saying that these cities are not set up with some of the same amenities and situations as major league towns that have hosted Major League Baseball for years or decades at a time. And part of that is just MLB-type facilities, right? The stadium that offers you a home for a full regular season. What does it have? A big enough clubhouse, weight room, lunchroom, extra batting cages, all that stuff. Minor league facilities these days are great. There's no question about it. They are the next closest thing to big league facilities, but they're not big league facilities. And also, as we take a look at potential temporary homes for the A's for a 3-season span, I think there's a definite dynamic of what's best, like what would seem the best here for temporary stops versus just what's the easiest thing to do. What's the easiest thing to do over 3 years to kind of make these games and these seasons go by as fast as possible, the least amount of friction, and get on your way potentially to Las Vegas. So I think that best versus easiest thing is definitely a dynamic at play here. So let's begin with some of the temporary spots. And Las Vegas seemed like the obvious answer at first. There was a lot of talk from Summerlin that the A's would simply play at the home of their AAA affiliate, the Las Vegas Aviators. Now, they would share this home. They would not kick the Aviators out. It brings up a lot of questions and conflicts. Number one, like a scheduling conflict. How can you have a major and minor league team share the same stadium when it gets busy across the summertime? Certainly the MLB and the PCL schedule would have to be very intricately worked out. In Summerlin, Nevada, you have 8,196 seats, a capacity of 10,000 total. Now, I know we've heard that 10,000 number a lot, that the Aviators sell out 10,000 all the time. But understand, there's only 8,196 actual seats. There's room for 10,000, standing room or a spot at the pool or maybe in some of the luxury areas, but you are capped to 10,000 total. This opened in April of 2019. I have yet to visit it, but I hear it's among the best of minor league ballparks across our country. Again, the Aviators already play home there, so how do you work out a schedule that makes sense for them and the A's? By the way, teams in that PCL, that Pacific Coast League, they play 6-game series. So pretty much, I think you'd be lucky to get one series, maybe 2 in at a time. Like 12 out of 13 days, that's a long road trip that the A's would have to be on to make the Aviators schedule work in tandem. Those PCL schedules come in big blocks, essentially, versus 2, 3, and 4-game series of Major League Baseball. They've also already established that if they're going to play Major League Baseball at this facility, Las Vegas Ballpark was not set up for big league standards. In terms of the field, the playing surface, if they're going to share this stadium, it's going to have to go from real grass to artificial turf. They've already said that under the heat of Las Vegas, a AAA season does enough damage to it. If they're going to play literally every day, it's got to be switched to artificial turf. That's something I don't think the Major League Baseball Players Association is going to appreciate, nor all of the midweek and Sunday getaway games that have to be played during earlier daytime hours in the middle of the summer. That heat is going to be intense. There's also lighting systems to upgrade. Apparently the lights are not high enough. At the Major League level, you need lights at certain heights for television purposes and also just for standardization purposes. Those lights at Las Vegas Ballpark currently not high enough. They'd have to totally replace that. They also need a couple more clubhouses. Like you can't have the major and minor league teams sharing clubhouses like that quickly of turns. Now, maybe there's space for that. Maybe there's room for it. The Aviators themselves suggested that they might even have to build clubhouses across the street because that's the only open space. Now, if the A's were to move to Summerlin, technically not Las Vegas, but, in that market, in that region, the big bonus and boost here is that you actually get to be in Vegas. There's no middle ground. Maybe the A's could set up their new team headquarters in Southern Nevada. It's kind of a one rip of the Band-Aid off and you're there. Now, the other side of this, though, is that now you're in Las Vegas. You're making your first impression with either brand new baseball fans or baseball fans that are new to you as a team, and they don't get to see you in your ultimate $1.5 billion stadium. They're only seeing you at the 8,200 seat Las Vegas ballpark, which, is great, but they've already seen that before. And maybe it's smaller and maybe it's more intimate and maybe that's desirable for a certain period of time, but it's not the splash that you'd get to make by coming to Las Vegas and kind of showcasing this brand new shiny toy that everybody's talked about that you've built. So I do see both sides of it right there of why Summerlin seems like a good idea, but maybe why the A's have backed away from it. And again, I'll be honest, I said this at the very beginning of this portion. It seemed like at first, this is exactly where the A's were considering their number one option, and this is what they were going to do. Look, I still think they don't even know the answer to this question of where they'll be playing for 25, 26, and 27. I think they're still trying to figure out what's the best out of all these options that I'm presenting here. And I think I've got them all covered. Maybe there's some more. But I think all of these things are what they are considering as part of their relocation plan right now. Oh, Reno, Nevada. Hello, Northern Nevada. This is Greater Nevada Field. I've actually also never been here before. I'm realizing that I need to get out a little bit more and see some more minor league baseball. Right in downtown Reno. It's a little bit more than a decade old. Looks like a beautiful facility here. I didn't actually use a photo. I did the whole Google Earth thing, but I thought that was a pretty cool perspective. Challenge is here in Reno, only 6,500 physical seats. Now, again, the same idea where the capacity is much more than the actual seat total. You can get 9,100 total fans there, but there's only seats for 6,500. Now, is that too small? I guess we really didn't talk about Las Vegas ballpark at 8,200, let's call it. I mean, if you're the A's, is this just part of the deal that you're going to have to play 3 full seasons with some maybe new excitement in a new location in a place you can draw bigger than this, but you're only limited to the capacity that you've got? There's also this. I mean, this ballpark is not empty. The Reno Aces play there. They are the AAA affiliate of the Arizona Diamondbacks. So now you'd have to have a partnership with a different AAA team. They're in that same PCL. They have the same scheduling issues and potential conflicts as the Aviators have. So maybe it's easier to deal with your own minor league team as opposed to getting the D-backs minor league team to go along with you. This ballpark opened in April of 2009. It sits at an elevation of 4,500 feet. Now, it's not quite Coors Field, but imagine big leaguers, and I think the dimensions are a little bit deeper there, but imagine big leaguers at this ballpark teeing off on a regular basis. No disrespect to Reno. I'm not here to say that they couldn't support this, but you're only looking at a population of about 270,000 in the Reno area. And maybe there's Sparks along with it, and maybe some from Tahoe would come over the hill, but let's call it 300,000. You're not exactly drawing from the biggest crowd. And again, this would be fine if we were only talking about a 3-week span or even a 3-month span, half a baseball season. We're talking about 3 full Major League Baseball seasons. I'm not so sure that the numbers play out here favorably for the A's potentially in Reno. Now, they suggested this. I'm not making this one up. In one of the final presentations from Jeremy Aguero and Steve Hill, they mentioned that Reno was on the table for consideration. Now, why would they mention this? Partially because the state of Nevada and lawmakers from the northern half of the state had to make decisions on the A's and what they would do as part of these kind of middle ground years. And maybe it's a concession, maybe it's a perk for northern Nevada. And being part of the, $180 million of transferable tax credits that the state of Nevada is giving out, maybe this is a perk to have the A's play in Reno, get a little bit of revenue going and tax money going and ticket money going for Reno more than anything else. Maybe it's not the greatest situation, but maybe this is kind of a favor to Reno. But do the numbers even work? Is this possible? Is this even logistical? Let's bring on the state capital of California, Sacramento. I still call it Raleigh Field, and that's my fault. That's how I knew it when it opened. But Sutter Health Park, which I think has held that name now for a couple years. I've been here multiple times and over multiple decades. I think probably when it first opened, was it right around 2000 or so? I think that's in the next slide. But look, wasn't always the best spot in town across the river, but Sacramento has flourished. There you can see Golden One Center across the bridge and just a beautiful scenery right there. And I think of all the options we've talked about so far, this one might make a lot more sense. Yeah, it opened in May of 2000, so been around for a bit, quite established, highly regarded as one of the nicer places to play in the circuit, has 10,624 seats and a capacity of more than 14,000. So finally we're getting into some numbers that make a little bit more sense as it relates to revenue and trying to build a product. Again, though, a problem, a team already has this ballpark as their home. And it's the AAA affiliate of the San Francisco Giants. Used to be the AAA affiliate of the A's, before they switched to Nashville, and then Nashville ultimately became Las Vegas as the A's AAA affiliate. So long ago, the River Cats were the A's AAA affiliate, but now they're the Giants AAA affiliate. Is that a rub? Is that a problem? Is there an arrangement to be made there? Is there a conflict? I have no clue. But again, it comes down to scheduling, opportunity, and availability. Now, Sacramento as a region alone, like just Sacramento, population of 525,000. And that's not including up into the foothills. I don't think that's including Stockton or the surrounding areas of Sacramento. That's just Sacramento, which, again, is more of a metropolitan area. I think that this might be the most desirable intermediate spot for the A's if they could swing this, because this is more like, for Major League Baseball, this might be a trial run for the future. I mean, forget the A's side of it for just a second. Major League Baseball might look at this and say, well, we've always been curious about Sacramento as a potential Major League Baseball market. I mean, look, the NBA's Kings play there. There's been other things over the years that came in and tested out and tried Sacramento. Maybe this will give us a good indication if the A's play there for a couple years of testing the market out, what it would be like. I'd also say for the A's, it's a close first move in a sense that they don't even have to probably relocate their team headquarters. They could leave them in Oakland for a couple more years. It's not that far of a drive up I-80 to get from where people currently are. Maybe they could keep some of their employees longer that aren't planning to make the ultimate move. Maybe when I talked earlier about what's the best thing versus the easiest, maybe this is both the easiest and the best, a lot of different ways around. So maybe Sacramento in this mix, but again, I could see some roadblocks here that make this also not an option. Whoa, that's Oracle Park in San Francisco, the corner of 3rd and King. That's the home of the San Francisco Giants for the last, 23, 24 years? Hard to believe that park is almost 25 years old. Seems like just yesterday Pac Bell Park opened. Is this a possibility? Are you for real right now? Maybe. I don't know. This is very much a hypothetical. I've got no inside knowledge. This one has not really been mentioned. All of the others have been mentioned. This one, I think, is a little bit off the board for a couple different reasons. Number one, obviously, it requires a deal, striking a deal with the San Francisco Giants. I don't want to speak for them. I have no clue their level of interest. And I think it all comes down to the price they could charge the A's for playing there, right? Like that's part of the deal. You're not coming here for free. This is not charity. You're going to pay to rent our ballpark. But at what price would it come to the Giants? Like, what is the inconvenience that they would have for hosting the A's for, 3 full baseball seasons? Number one, the field is going to take a beating, but that's probably the case anywhere else the A's would go. Although those are all minor league facilities, this would be a source of income for the Giants, but it also might be a source of inconvenience. So income, inconvenience, how does it play out? I mean, most certainly it satisfies the option of having a Major League Baseball facility. I guess I haven't really talked about that much up until this point. The Major League Baseball Players Association is going to have a say in all of this. And I think they're going to have some questions even about Sacramento, even about Summerlin, Nevada, home of the Aviators, and definitely about Reno. This is going to affect players, their amenities, what their families are bound to do, and their lifestyle for a couple years. And again, it's not to say that they will say no to it. I'm just saying they're going to have some questions about places that Major League Baseball has never been played before. Also this, though, if the A's call Oracle Park home for, 3 years, it just feels weird to say. I'm wondering about the fan motivation to actually come out and check out games. Is it a curiosity thing? I mean, people would be not thrilled to have the A's still in existence in the immediate Bay Area, even though at that point they would have already committed to Las Vegas and ground would be broken at the Tropicana site. So I'm not sure that I think they would draw better, seriously, in Sacramento than they would here in San Francisco. I think fan motivation would be low if they were going to call Oracle Park home. and most certainly easiest for operations, although there still is that issue of not enough clubhouses. You definitely don't want to change Oracle Park, for the sake of the A's. You don't want to damage or inconvenience or ruin anything just because you've got new tenants playing there. I don't know about this one. I mean, it's the easiest in a lot of ways. You don't have to move your team headquarters. You basically stay in the Bay Area. If the Coliseum is, likely not an option for 25 and beyond, this keeps you as close as possible with the next and the only other major league facility that's ready to go. This is the only major league venue I could see them considering. Arizona? Denver? San Diego? Are we just picking locations? I mean, there are other major league ballparks, but then you're going farther away from even Las Vegas. We could go down that rabbit hole some other time. But as for this one, I don't know what the Giants would think about this, but they would have the ultimate determination. So again, I mean, where the A's would play for 3 full seasons, it's crazy. And I'm not saying I expect them to already have this answered. Probably would be nice to include in their relocation plans so owners could have a look and a glance at where their teams and where their $40 million players or $20 million players or their $250 million payroll team is going to go. Other owners, I think, do care about this for the sake of their players and their staff. So it hasn't been discussed yet. There's not a lot of great options. I mean, I think the A's would ultimately be easiest and would be the easiest thing to do is just to keep playing in Oakland. I don't know that that's going to be an option for them after 2024, if in fact things get settled and secured in Las Vegas. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. Thumbs up since you made it here all the way to the end, and don't forget to subscribe so that I can see you next time.